So this right here is BenQ's latest and greatest, their brand new PD3226G, which is a 4K 32-inch monitor built with pro-level color accuracy, 144Hz refresh rate, 140 ppi, and it's a true Thunderbolt 4 hub directly built in to this monitor right here. So let's talk about why I think this could be the center of your workstation. Let's get into it. So let's quickly get into the unboxing of this thing to let you guys know exactly what you get, and whoever runs the packaging situation for BenQ deserves a raise because this is packaged perfectly. All you do is you open it up, and on the top layer you have all of your accessories that come with it. So you have all the cables, the power cable, a Thunderbolt 4 cable, which is nice, it's a true Thunderbolt 4 cable, an HDMI cable, which is HDMI 2.1, and then you also get a USB-A to USB-C cable if that's something that you want to get into. This does not include a DisplayPort cable, but it does have a DisplayPort port, which we'll touch on when we talk about the I/O. You also get this beautiful stand, which again is very easy to put together. As you can see from the footage, it's super easy. All you do is you put the platform on the bottom of the actual stand, and then you hook the stand onto the display itself, and then you lift the stand, and then you're good to go, and you have a perfect setup with your brand new 32-inch monitor. A couple other things to consider here is that you get the Hotkey G3, which is basically an extension of those buttons on the bottom of the display, which basically allows you to control the brightness, the contrast, being able to switch with that KVM switch, and also being able to switch between your different inputs and sources overall. I like it because the new version is wireless, it's very easy to use. It does require some batteries, but once you have those in, you're good to go. Now before we get into the actual spec of the display, let's talk about the design overall, which I think is beautiful because I do like how BenQ is bringing back this kind of nice white colorway, albeit I do wish that they brought the white that's on the rear of the display and on the stand to the front of it into the bezels themselves to give you kind of this whiteout look. But as of right now, it is this two-tone look where the front and the visual pieces are this darker color, and that is meant for better color accuracy overall, to have a darker background, and just to kind of focus your eyes in on the display itself. So I do understand the reason. I just like it from an aesthetic purpose. I wish there was all white because the rear of this thing looks amazing. But again, the bezels are tiny, so it's very easy to have a multi-monitor setup if that's something you want to get into. It also uses a nano-texture display, so it doesn't cause any glare whatsoever, at least disperses it very well. I have a very bright light shining directly on this thing, and you can barely notice it because of how well that nano-texture display is able to dissipate that light, so you have no glare. And then the stand itself is probably something that they could charge $200, $300, $400 for if they sold it separately because of all the adjustability and the premium nature of it all. You can rise it and lower it very easily, you can tilt it sideways, rotate it 180 degrees, even tilt it forward and backwards a little bit if that's something that you want to do, and then of course you can also swivel it by lifting it all the way up and turning it 90 degrees if you want to use this as a vertical display in your current workstation, which again, could be great depending on what your use cases are. So now let's talk about the actual display and the screen quality. And again, you know who you are if you're looking for that 144Hz display. This one is the 4K model because again, if you are looking for a 5K display, most of them are going to be in that 30 to 60 Hz display. For instance, I have been using BenQ's 27-inch 5K monitor, which for me, I absolutely love because I'm kind of in the weeds when it comes to that kind of stuff. But if you are a gamer, or if you do need that faster refresh rate, or if you are quick twitching and you do need to move quickly with all the actions that you're doing on your display, then going down in resolution and going much higher in refresh rate is something that this monitor is purpose built for. It gives you that best of both worlds of being a designer monitor, so it's still very color accurate, still has great pixel density at 4K, but then also gives you the option to game on it and get those high refresh rates at 144 Hz. Because you still get the same 100% of the sRGB color gamut, you still get the same 100% of the Rec 709, and 95% of the DCI P3, which again for most people is that higher end standard. You also get all the necessary certifications from a screen quality standpoint, like being Pantone validated, Kalman certified, meaning that it's factory calibrated for real world accuracy and not something that's just kind of put on there and then sent away to each person. And that's why that color accuracy report is so important when it comes to purchasing a BenQ monitor. And it still supports HDR10, so albeit it's not an OLED display, but the IPS panel is going to be good enough to give you that nice contrasty look where necessary when you are dealing with HDR content. And just to let you guys know how I've been using it, of course here it plugged in to show it off, it is plugged into an iPad, and iPads only support 60 Hz out, but M4 Mac Minis do support that 144 Hz out via HDMI, and once I started testing it in the 144 Hz, because I've never actually used a monitor for a computer per se that is able to go that high in refresh rate. Of course, I have ProMotion on my iPhone, I have ProMotion on my iPad, and yes, I could never go back to 60 Hz when it comes to a non-ProMotion display, and the same thing can be said about a display that doesn't use touch as its main input. I thought in order for me to really get advantage or take advantage or see the difference, I needed to quote unquote feel what I was doing with that 120 hertz refresh rate, or for this instance 144 hertz. But everything is just much more fluid, even if you just are using your trackpad and your mouse and your arrow keys for navigation. Websites fly, being able to scroll through things is super simple and very easy and fluid. And you can see that when I went back to, even though I went back to the 5K display, which is better resolution, the fact that it's only 60 hertz had me thinking a little bit that maybe the 4K 144 for me just feels better overall, because again, I'm not pixel peeping too much too often, so the 144 hertz and that fluidity that you get out of it on day-to-day tasks and everyday use is something that I didn't think that I would miss when I went back to the 5K display. Another thing that I noticed is when scrubbing through timelines, everything is much more fluid. Just everything, again, it makes sense that because you're getting more than an extra frame per second compared to the 60 FPS that I was using before on the regular 5K display, which again is what most designers use when you are getting to that higher resolution. You normally have to kind of pick your poison when it comes to, do you want higher resolution or higher refresh rate? But what I like is that we're not giving up too much when you're going from 5K to 4K, and you're more than doubling the regular frame rate that you get out of these other monitors from a designer standpoint. And then of course, when it comes to the I/O and the port situation, you have an HDMI 2.1 port, a 1.4 display port, you get two Thunderbolt 4 ports, one of them does support 90-watt fast charging, as well as your video and data in and out. You also have another Thunderbolt 4 port that supports up to 15 watts of charging as well, so if you want to plug that in, but also of course it deals with faster data transfers. You get another USB-C upstream port, which is 10 gigabits per second of data only. You get 3 additional USB-A ports, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2, also supporting up to 18 watts of fast charging. And then lastly, you get one extra USB-C downstream port. And another small thing that I really like about BenQ monitors is that even though you basically have an entire hub in here and you're able to power and push out 90 watts, the power supply is built into the display, so you don't have like an additional brick just hanging off of your display that you have to tuck away somewhere else. It's just a simple cable to plug and play, and you're good to go. And then like I said, since you are using Thunderbolt 4, this is essentially going to be a hub that you can then daisy chain, add another monitor, plug in SSDs, plug in other I/O, plug in speakers, whatever you need to do. You don't need to have a Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 5 hub additional to this if you are keeping things relatively minimal. Now again, if you have 20 things that you have plugged into your monitor or 20 things that you have plugged into your Mac Mini, then of course you're going to need another Thunderbolt 4 hub. But if you're just using a couple different things, some auxiliary accessories, this is going to be more than enough, and you can kind of put that price into what you're paying for this thing. So to recap, the things that I love are of course the fact that it's 144 hertz, and it's my first real exposure to this type of tech on a non-touch first interface or non-touch first display. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to the regular 5K 60, but we'll go between both of them to see exactly what's going on, or you can have them as a dual setup as well, which is always cool to see. I also love that it's a Thunderbolt 4 dock and Thunderbolt 4 hub kind of built in directly into here, and then it has its own power supply built in, so there isn't anything crazy going on. It has some great cable management as well. And it's nice that it has a KVM switch, so you can go between Mac and PC, or you can go between Mac and a gaming console very easily with the touch of a button. And now again, I don't want to say that it's all fine and dandy and it's all amazing, because there are some things that it definitely could improve on. For instance, 400 nits of brightness, I do wish it got brighter. I know that I'm going to be using this inside, and for the most part it's going to be fine, and then the anti-glare coating does help with any window light that comes through, but I do wish that we got to maybe 500-600 nits of brightness. I know that would increase the cost, but again, I'm not going to be using this outside, so 400 nits of brightness indoors should be more than enough. And again, while HDR is great, there are some other OLED panels which give you even deeper blacks and better HDR kind of support, but again, HDR10 in an IPS panel is going to be good enough for this type of display in the price point, which again, at the price point, I think it retails for around $1,100 with the prices fluctuating. Amazon sometimes has it for a little bit cheaper, but I'll leave the most up-to-date price down below, as well as a link if you guys do want to check this one out. So if you want to experience 144 hertz, or if you are a gamer and you want to have kind of this gamer and also designer monitor kind of combination because you do play in both worlds, then this one is going to be something that's going to solve all your issues. Also includes that Thunderbolt hub basically built into it, has an amazing stand, and it's just a plug and play single cable solution which charges your computer fully very easily. But leave a comment down below, everybody. I want to discuss if would you rather prefer a 5K display at 60 hertz or a 4K display at 144 hertz? Do you like the pixel density more, or do you like the higher refresh rate more? Let me know in the comment down below what you think. Full transparency, BenQ did send this over to review and check out, but they don't know that I'm making this video, and they also don't have any say on what I'm saying about this monitor. But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, check out the 5K BenQ review, because I think that one also gives you a better insight as to what we're comparing over here. But that'll do it, everybody. Peace.